Two co-workers work the same shift at the same logistics warehouse in Cleveland. Same job title, same $64,000 salary, same direct deposit landing in their checking accounts every other Friday at 6 in the morning. One of them is checking her balance before buying gas by the following Wednesday. The other one, just returned from a week in Mexico, has $18,000 sitting in an account most people her age have never heard of and has not stressed about a bill in over 2 years. Same paycheck, same city, same rent, roughly, no side hustle, no inheritance, no lucky crypto trade. I am Zane, and I want to tell you the actual difference between these two people. It is not willpower. It is not intelligence. It is approximately 12 minutes happening every other Friday in the window right after the paycheck lands and before either of them has consciously decided anything. This is not a video about earning more money. It is a video about what happens in the first hour after your paycheck arrives, because in 2026, that hour decides almost everything that follows. By the end of this, you will have the exact routine in order with the real 2026 numbers. If you have ever watched your balance hit zero a few days before payday and wondered where it all went, hit subscribe right now before we start, because what I am about to walk you through is the entire mechanism, and it builds step by step. Why 2026 specifically matters. Before the routine, you need to understand why doing this correctly right now matters more than it did even 2 years ago. Several major numbers shifted recently, and most people have not updated their mental model to match. Contribution limits for retirement accounts increased across the board. Tax brackets shifted. A significant new tax law quietly changed how tips, overtime income, and certain loan interest get taxed. High-yield savings rates that were paying close to 5% 2 years ago have drifted down toward 4%, while credit card rates have continued climbing, with average new card offers now sitting above 23%. Inflation, which many people assumed was fully behind us, ticked back up meaningfully in recent months, driven significantly by energy costs. The rules changed. Nobody sent a memo. This script is that memo. The actual state of things. Before getting into the routine itself, it is worth being honest about the baseline most people are working from, because the data is more alarming than most people realize. A meaningful majority of American adults are currently living paycheck to paycheck, not just lower-income households, across virtually every income bracket, including a significant percentage of high earners making well into 6 figures. Surveys consistently find that a large share of adults could not cover a $400 emergency expense using cash on hand. That represents tens of millions of people who are one car repair, one medical bill, or one unexpected expense away from a credit card balance accumulating interest north of 20%. Research on emergency savings consistently finds that a meaningful percentage of American households have essentially nothing set aside, $0 in accessible emergency funds. And here's the statistic that should permanently dismantle the idea that this is purely a willpower or income problem. Surveys of high earners, people making well over $250,000 annually, consistently find a substantial percentage describing themselves as living paycheck to paycheck. People earning more in a year than many homes cost a decade ago, still anxious about the final week of every month. If income alone solved this problem, it would have solved it somewhere along that income spectrum. It did not, which tells you clearly that the problem is not the size of the paycheck. The problem is what happens to the paycheck in the immediate hours after it arrives. There is an entire industry engineered specifically to claim your money before you consciously decide where it should go. Overdraft fees, buy now, pay later checkout buttons, paycheck advance apps with optional tips, subscription renewals timed with uncomfortable precision. We are going to talk about that machine, because the numbers behind it are genuinely difficult to believe. But first, the routine. Step 1. Know your real number. Every financial routine on the internet starts with make a budget, and most people's eyes glaze over immediately because budgeting sounds like homework nobody assigned voluntarily. So instead of asking you to budget, Zane is asking you to find one specific number, one time, your true monthly cost of existing. Rent or mortgage, utilities, minimum debt payments, insurance, realistic groceries, transportation, the subscriptions you actually use plus the ones you keep meaning to cancel. For most single people, this number lands somewhere between $2,500 and $4,500 monthly. This number matters because every subsequent step in this routine calibrates against it. Your emergency fund target is a multiple of it. Your comfortable spending amount is your paycheck minus your share of it. Without this number, you are navigating entirely by feeling, and feeling is exactly how so many people end up unable to handle a $400 surprise. While you're calculating this, do one more 5-minute task that will save genuine misery. Compare when your bills are due against when you actually get paid. A significant amount of financial stress is not caused by overspending. It is caused by timing. Payday on the 15th, rent due on the 1st, a car payment auto-drafting on the 22nd, and suddenly you're overdrafting not because the money isn't there over the course of the month, but because the money and the bills keep missing each other. Most lenders, credit card companies, and even utilities will adjust your due date if you simply ask. It typically costs nothing and takes a 5-minute phone call. Align your due dates a few days after your paychecks land, and an entire category of unnecessary financial stress disappears. Step 2. Pay yourself first, automatically. Here is the single most important sentence in this entire script. Money sitting in your checking account is functionally already spent. Checking accounts are designed to be spent from. That is their entire purpose. The fix is paying yourself first. And the modern version of this is remarkably easy to set up. Most employer payroll systems allow you to split your direct deposit across multiple accounts at the source, not transfer money after it arrives, but route it before it ever touches your primary checking account. You tell payroll to send a percentage to checking, a percentage to a high-yield savings account, and a percentage to an investment account. From that moment forward, saving happens before you are even aware the money existed. This is not generic advice. There is overwhelming behavioral research behind it. Companies with voluntary retirement plan enrollment see a meaningful minority of employees participating. Companies with automatic enrollment, same employees, same incomes, same bills, see participation rates dramatically higher, often approaching the entire workforce. Among lower-income workers specifically, the people who can least afford to save, voluntary participation rates are remarkably low, while automatic enrollment participation rates are dramatically higher. The same person saves at multiple times the rate when saving is automatic rather than a recurring decision. Willpower is an unreliable employee. It shows up inconsistently and quits entirely on a bad day. Automation never has a bad day. How much should you route before you see it? The classic guideline suggests 20% of take-home pay. In many cities in 2026, basic needs alone consume 60 to 70% of take-home income, making that guideline unrealistic for many people right now. If 20% is not currently achievable, start at 5%, start at 2%, start at whatever percentage reflects your actual situation, because the data consistently shows that once the pipe exists, increasing it later becomes trivial. The amount matters far less than building the structure, the extraction layer you need to understand. Before continuing the routine, there is a category of financial products actively working against everything described above, and the math on these deserves real attention. Earned wage access apps have become enormously popular, the pitch being that you have already worked the hours, so why wait for payday to access a portion of your own earnings? Regulatory analysis of these products found the average effective annual interest rate on tip-based advance apps land in the range of several 100% when calculated properly. For comparison, traditional payday lenders, the products everyone recognizes as predatory, charge similar effective rates. The friendly app and the predatory lender are functionally the same product wearing different branding.
Research consistently finds that typical users take dozens of these advances annually, meaning it functions less as an occasional bridge and more as a permanent subscription to being perpetually behind, because each advance reduces the next paycheck, increasing the likelihood of needing another advance. Buy now, pay later products carry similar risk. Recent tracking data found a significant and rising percentage of users missing payments and accumulating fees, with a substantial portion of users juggling multiple simultaneous buy now, pay later obligations across different platforms, meaning many people genuinely could not tell you what they owe across all platforms combined if asked directly. And then there's the overdraft fee, a several dollar shortfall resulting in a flat fee that, calculated as an effective interest rate on a short-term loan, produces numbers that look more like a phone number than an interest rate. Every dollar lost to these mechanisms is a dollar that exits your paycheck before your future ever gets a vote in the matter. The entire routine in this script is fundamentally one move: putting yourself in line ahead of these systems. Step 3. The Starter Emergency Fund. The first automatic slice of every paycheck goes towards a starter emergency fund, not the full multi-month fortress, just an initial buffer in the range of $1,000 to $2,500. This fund has exactly one job: creating distance between your life and the extraction layer described above. Without it, every surprise expense becomes debt at 20+% interest, or an advance at several 100% effective rate, or an overdraft fee. With it, a surprise becomes simply an inconvenience you pay for directly and refill over subsequent paychecks. Where this money lives matters significantly. Standard checking accounts pay essentially nothing in interest. High-yield savings accounts, carrying identical deposit insurance and similar accessibility, currently pay meaningfully more, often 4 times higher or more. On $10,000, that difference represents hundreds of dollars annually for literally no additional effort beyond a brief account setup. Step 4. Capture the employer match. If your employer offers any retirement account matching and you're not capturing the full match, this is the most important math in the entire script. A typical match structure provides 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to a percentage of your salary. That represents a 50% guaranteed return on your contribution instantly, before the market does anything whatsoever. No legal investment anywhere offers a guaranteed return remotely close to that. Skipping the match is mathematically equivalent to declining a portion of your compensation through inaction. Calculated over a full career, the employer match portion alone, invested and compounding, can grow into a genuinely substantial sum by retirement, entirely from money that cost you nothing beyond enrolling. At this stage, the goal is not maximizing your contribution. The goal is exactly one thing: contributing enough to capture every available dollar of match, nothing more yet. Step 5. Eliminate high-interest debt. Once the match is secured, every additional dollar points at debt carrying interest above roughly 7 to 8%, which in practice usually means credit cards. Average credit card interest rates have climbed significantly and now commonly exceed 23% on new offers. On a meaningful balance, minimum payments alone can extend repayment across decades, while the total interest paid exceeds the original purchase amount multiple times over. Automating additional payments above the minimum dramatically compresses both the timeline and the total interest paid, often cutting repayment time by more than half while saving thousands of dollars. Whether you use the mathematically optimal approach of targeting highest interest rates first, or the psychologically motivating approach of targeting smallest balances first for momentum, the correct method is whichever one you'll actually complete. Step 6. The full emergency fund. Before maximizing investments, complete the emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of your true monthly cost. Recent labor market signals suggest this matters more than usual right now. Hiring has slowed meaningfully across several sectors, and job searches are taking longer than in recent years. An emergency fund isn't really about money. It functions as time. It's the difference between accepting the right next opportunity and accepting the first one that responds. Step 7. The Health Savings Account. If you have a high-deductible health insurance plan, you have access to the only account in the entire tax code offering triple tax advantages. Contributions reduce taxable income immediately, growth is never taxed, and withdrawals from medical expenses are never taxed. Most people treat this as simply medical spending account. The more powerful approach is paying current medical expenses out of pocket when possible, investing the HSA balance in index funds, and allowing it to compound for decades as a SLEFT retirement account that happens to be the most tax-advantaged vehicle available to ordinary investors. Step 8. The Roth IRA. The next priority is a Roth IRA, money you contribute after paying tax on it now, which then grows and gets withdrawn completely tax-free in retirement. For most people early in their careers, currently sitting in a relatively low tax bracket, this represents paying tax at the cheapest rate they'll likely ever face in their life, in exchange for permanent tax-free growth on decades of compounding. Contributions, unlike growth, can considerably be withdrawn at any time without penalty, making this considerably more flexible than many people assume. Step 9. Back to the workplace account, then everything else. Once the above steps are funded, additional contributions return to the workplace retirement account, climbing towards the annual maximum as income allows. Beyond that, a standard taxable brokerage account holds any additional investing capacity with no contribution limits and complete flexibility. The part nobody talks about. Whatever remains after this routine runs is genuinely yours to spend without guilt because your future has already been funded first. This guilt-free remainder is not a reward, it's structurally necessary because restrictive budgets fail the same way restrictive diets fail, through willpower exhaustion and eventual collapse. This routine asks for willpower exactly once during setup. After that, automation runs the system regardless of how you feel on any Tuesday. Drop a comment right now and tell me, which step in this routine are you missing right now? I genuinely want to know, and I read every single response. The whole routine in one breath. Paycheck lands, automatic split fires immediately.
A slice builds the starter emergency fund. Contributions capture the full employer match. Surplus eliminates any debt above roughly 8%. Then the HSA, then the Roth, then back to maximizing the workplace account. Bills due shortly after each payday, everything remaining spent with a genuinely clear conscience. Set up once over an afternoon, maintained in roughly 12 minutes every other Friday after that. The two co-workers from the beginning of this script were the same person 3 years ago. Same overdrafts, same Sunday night financial anxiety. One of them spent a single afternoon building the pipe and then did nothing remarkable ever again. No side hustle, no discipline montage. Her system simply kept running every other Friday while she slept, which is the actual secret behind almost every quietly financially secure person you have ever envied. It was never willpower, it was plumbing. Your next paycheck is already on its way. The extraction layer is already lined up waiting for it. The only real question is whether something of yours gets there first this time. If this gave you the structure you have been missing, hit the like button and subscribe to Wetrix Invest right now, because building the pipe this week is the entire difference between where you are and where you could be in 10 years.